We got some T-shirts from George in the mail from the set that said Revenge of the Jedi on them. I still have them, and I hope to send my son through college with them when I sell them at the fan fairs in a few years. After I started wearing these shirts around, I saw George a couple of months later, and he said, well, no, we're not doing that anymore. And I said, why is that? What's the title? He said, Return of the Jedi. I said, what's the difference? He said, revenge isn't a Jedi concept.
Use your aggressive feeling, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
I think just from experience, you go out to try to be a good guy, and sometimes the good side doesn't respect you, or they turn on you, and it can really make you bitter. And you say, look, I've been trying to be good all this time, and you know why? I'm not getting anything out of it, so let me just flip over and work on the side of evil. It's so easy to be evil.
You underestimate the power of the dark side. If you will not fight, then you will meet your destiny.
When we come back, the magical effort behind making the Star Wars trilogy look and sound better than ever. January 1997, the Star Wars trilogy special edition premiere. A swarm of stars and fans clamor to experience the film. How is it that 20 years after its initial release, the appeal of this classic adventure is stronger than ever?
I had never been as kinetically thrilled about watching a world that somebody had created that I just wanted to exist in forever. It was really a pretty seminal event, and I think the lives of all of my peers in that entire generation, as a matter of fact.
This movie brought the movies to a different age 20 years ago, and I think it's going to be the same situation here 20 years later, because kids are really going to get to see what a real movie is like.
Exciting. I never thought something like this would happen, but it's been a big thrill.
When Star Wars first came out, it was heralded as a groundbreaking film. But despite its worldwide acclaim and universal appeal, George Lucas felt that the film never lived up to his original vision. The 20th anniversary of Star Wars gave him the chance to make it the way he always wanted.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
Move along.
Move along. Move along.
The Star Wars trilogy has thrilled movie audiences for the last 20 years. But since 1983, these adventures could only be seen on the television screen. That means an entire generation has grown up without experiencing the sights and sounds of these films in the way George Lucas had always intended.
Star Wars was designed to be a theatrical experience. It was designed to be on the big screen. Sound is extremely important, and it's very important to the overall enjoyment of the film that it be big.
Stop that ship! Blast them!
For those who have never seen it on the big screen, they have really missed the point of the movie. They really have missed the excitement that happens when you sit with several hundred other people, and the electricity that goes through the audience when you see that movie. One of the things I wanted to do was preserve the film so that it could be a viable piece of entertainment in the 21st century.
What's that flashing?
Films, do deteriorate and they disappear. And I think this one had deteriorated a lot more than anybody expected in 20 years. At the same time, I had an ulterior motive that I'd been thinking about for a long time ever since the films were finished, which is there were various things, especially in the original film, that I wasn't satisfied with. Special effects shots that never really were finished, scenes that I wanted to include that couldn't have been included for some reason, mostly money and time. I looked at the 20th anniversary as a way of, well, if we're going to reissue them, maybe Fox will go along with allowing me to refurbish them also. So they agreed to that, and that's really what started this whole thing.
In 1995, the restoration began with a concerted effort by 20th Century Fox, Lucasfilm, Skywalker Sound, and Industrial Light and Magic. The task was more daunting than anyone expected.
The most obvious thing that's happened is we've gone back to the original negative, cleaned it up considerably, redone a lot of the optical effects, the wipes, the dissolves, and improved the quality of the film because it was deteriorating.
Holding her is dangerous. Word of this gets out, it could generate sympathy for the rebellion in the Senate.
I have traced the rebel spies to her. Now she is my only link to finding their secret base.
The actual original negative was so far gone that unless we actually did this at this time, we were never going to have the film to be able to release ever again.
Darth Vader isn't black anymore. He starts out coming up to a navy blue and then getting brighter and brighter as the film continues to deteriorate.
There will be no one to stop us this time.
Yes, sir.
Part of our task was to take this negative and to try and just get the film so they look the way people remember them looking when they first saw them 15, 20 years ago.
So we brought in a team of film restoration to start a full-scale film restoration. The first step was to take the original negative apart and physically rewash the entire negative. From that point, we realized that the opticals, which we couldn't rewash because the dirt was built into the elements, also had to be recomposited.
Compositing allows separately photographed items to be placed in the same scene. For example, the seeker ball, the lightsaber, and the chess pieces are combined with live action to make up one final shot in the film. Creating composites for the original release of the trilogy required film technicians to physically handle the negative. This led to wear and tear as well as dirt deposits on the final picture. Today, compositing takes place with computers, but before this technology could be applied to Star Wars, all the original elements had to be located. Some scenes had as many as 40 elements for a single shot, as was the case for the asteroid sequence in Empire. Typically, these elements are discarded after the film is completed.
In the case of Star Wars and Empire and Jedi, all those pieces exist. And that was due to the fact that George kept everything. So that gives you the ability to do this.
You're not actually going into an asteroid field.
They'd be crazy to follow us, wouldn't they?
Although Star Wars required the most attention, The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi had their fair share of technical limitations.
One of the biggest sequences we worked on Empire Strikes Back was the snow battle, the walkers and the speeders in the snow. All of that was done at a time that we used optical technology, of course, to do all that compositing. And a telltale sign that something's been optically composited is a black line around it. And when you have a sequence that takes place in outer space against stars, it's easy to reach a point where those black lines don't show up. But when you have a sequence that takes place against snow in the daylight, every hint of that black matte line becomes very visible. And so the first time through doing the snow battle here 17 years ago, a lot of effort went into finding ways to minimize that black line. One of the ways was to not print all of the elements at their full opacity.
All right, I'm coming in.
Consequently, when you see the snow battle on film, you may notice that there's part of the scenery is visible through the cockpit, and it was a constant trade-off of how transparent can we make the cockpit. At what point is the black line more objectionable than the transparency? And so there was an opportunity to go back into those shots, use the computer technology, and to eliminate all the transparency, but also not have any matte lines.
Another unique aspect of the trilogy is the sound design created in this unknown world.
We would be honored if you would join us.
20 years ago, Ben Burtt set out to capture an organic array of sounds that would soon come to characterize lightsabers and droids. Now he's back, digitally enhancing the sounds that have come to define the world of Star Wars.
This is all your fault.
We didn't want to throw out the sound in the film and do it over. There were so many classic things in it. So many things that we could do better.